my bed to the floor. 5, 6, 7, 8. Will today be rough or will today be great? 9, 10, 11, 12. Lately I've been going through hell. 13, 14, 15, 16. Today's the day. Are you coming? Are you I'm sick of being normal, I'm sick of being average. I'm sick of being mortal, I'm about to be a savage. I see a lot of things that I want, I will have them. I got a new mindset that I just established. I'll march through the cold with the nails on the pavement. I'll shovel that coal just to get out the basement. My story will be told, helping others make changes. I'll be so bold, they will watch in amazement.
Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start over? I keep waiting. Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it. Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start over? I keep waiting. Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it.
Foot up on the pedal, pushing hard to the metal. Make a deal with the devil. Channel rage through my vessel into something that is special. Energy of a rebel, going up a level. I just wanna be greatness. I could feel changes, turn a new page and tie up my laces. I will be the bravest, break out of my cages. I will not be nameless, I will not be aimless.
Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start over? I keep waiting. Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it. Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start over? I keep waiting. Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it.
All right, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? Welcome back to the Locked In Podcast, episode 197. We're back in the building. Just want to thank the guys for coming on tonight. Please welcome back into the podcast my boy Zach. Zach, what's up, brother? Thank you for joining.
Yeah, no problem. What's up?
What's up, man? And then Rob, thank you for joining as well, man. OG to the podcast, man. Welcome back.
Yes, sir. Glad to be back. What's up, everyone?
Yes, sir. Then my boy Rich down there too. He might be having some tech things. I added Rich because he's got two screens there, and he said the one it was saying he wasn't in. So we'll see as he kind of goes through. I don't know why two of them popped up, but we'll get him in here. Once he he took both of them out, so he's probably gonna come back in. And then Mario's gonna be on soon, and my boy Dante might come on too. My boy Tyler was supposed to come on, but he kind of had a little bit of a shift, so he's not going to be able to make it tonight. But anyway, guys, what we're talking tonight, Super Wildcard weekends here, 2025 NFL. So we're going to go through some of the matchups this upcoming weekend. We got 7 of them on the book. I think it's 7. Actually, it's 6. So we got 6 on the slate this weekend. 2 matchups on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, 1 on Monday. Obviously me and Rob here, we're Eagles fans. I know Zach, you're Broncos fans. So we'll talk about some of the quests of both of these teams trying to get to the Super Bowl. And then I will actually keep the Penn State Notre Dame. They're in the Orange Bowl right now. I'll try to keep that score updated real time as I have it on my screen over here. So try to keep those updates in there. But thanks for joining, guys. And Rich is here. Put Rich back in. Yo, what's up, Rich? Can you hear us?
Yeah.
All right, cool. We got you, man. You in here now, man. What's up, brother? Thanks for joining.
How you doing, man? How's everybody?
Yeah, doing good.
Man. Good, man. Good. Happy New Year, y'all.
Happy New Year.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we got a big slate this weekend. Got 6 games. I was just saying we got 2 Saturday games, 3 Sunday, and then one Monday game coming in here. So I'm not even gonna waste any time. We can just hop into it. We got the let me look at so I think the first game, we have 2 on Saturday. I think are Broncos and Bills, Zach, are they kicking off Saturday? Are they the first?
No,
I
I think
matchup there?
they're kicking off Sunday. Yeah,
game.
they're kicking off Sunday at 10 a.m. The 2 on Saturday are going to be the Chargers and the Texans, and the Steelers and the Ravens. So AFC matchups.
Wow, so you're actually right. Yeah, you're right. You know what? Sunday is the most interesting day, I think, of football. Saturday games, the interest, like, I don't know. I feel like those games, like, you got some Texans and Chargers. I don't know what to make of those games. I don't know what to make of either of those teams. I feel like that could be a toss-up. And then you got Ravens and Steelers. Yeah, and then you got Ravens and Steelers. I don't think the Steelers are a very good team. They've really slipped towards the end, which I think a lot of people thought was going to happen. The Ravens are playing really good ball right now. I don't think they've lost a game since we beat them earlier in the year. So the Ravens are playing good ball. I expect them to pull that out. But let me actually just get the schedule in order here this weekend. Yeah, so the Texans and Chargers are kicking it off at 4:30 on Saturday. So we'll start with that one, and we'll make our way through. So Texans and Chargers. I'm going to be honest, I think this game's kind of a toss-up. But at the same time, I think the Texans have really been slipping towards the end of the year. I'd actually probably go Chargers here out of this matchup. I'm not sure what your guys' thoughts are. We can go around, but I'm gonna say it could be just an honest toss-up, but I'll pick the Chargers this one.
All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a Broncos fan. I don't really like the Chargers. I despise them, but I'm pretty sure the Chargers are going to take care of the Texans. I mean, they're banged up. They've had injuries throughout the year. They've had their ups and downs, and I don't think their defense is going to be good enough for that Chargers offense. I think Herbert and McConkey, they're just going to take over and just kind of run ship with the game, and I think the Chargers are going to cruise on to the next round.
Yeah, same. I agree. I think the Texans are banged up. They lost their top 2 receivers, Diggs, and forgot the other guy's name.
Is it
Yeah,
Dell? Tank Dell?
Yeah,
right?
Tank Dell. Yeah, CJ Stroud hasn't played too well this year. Everybody's complaining about him on fantasy. So yeah, I got the Chargers. They're rolling with Jim Harbaugh, so I got the Chargers.
Yeah, man, I agree. Chargers. I mean, just CJ Stroud, just his mindset. Just the team's mindset. They just. I mean, it's not good football. I'm gonna be honest with you. They haven't been playing good football lately. The confidence you could see is not there for CJ Stroud. The defense. Every time that Texans have played a good team, defense has always got taken advantage of, and even some bad teams. But it's just one of those teams that are kind of crawled into the playoffs pretty much. If you think about it, they just kind of haven't really been playing good football leading up to the playoffs, and it's good to see them in the playoffs. But I have confidence that they're going to win now. So I'm definitely going Chargers as well.
Yeah, I think they're the better team there. Even though the Texans are home, that's the only reason I haven't really given it a toss up. I think if the Chargers were home, I would kind of pick them outright. But yeah, so Chargers across the board there. Then we'll jump to the night game. It's 8:00 game Saturday night. We got the Steelers going to Baltimore. As I was just saying, I think that Baltimore's rolling right now. The Steelers have really fallen off. They've kind of gone the opposite since we beat them. I don't think they've won a game. Granted, they had tough matchups down the stretch. They played Kansas City. Bengals were rolling, even though they didn't make the playoffs. So they lost to Baltimore. And then I forget who else they lost to, but they lost to another good team as well. You know what? They lost to Baltimore again, another division game. So they had like 3 tough matchups coming down the stretch. But I'm going to go Baltimore here at home outright over Pittsburgh. Baltimore's the better team. I expect them to advance. And then, yeah, so that's my thoughts there.
Yeah, same. So, like you said, the Steelers' trajectory has been going down. Past 6 games hasn't been playing too well. Honestly, I got Baltimore's maybe number 2 in the AFC. I know the Bills are solid, but Chiefs and Baltimore, those are really my kind of AFC Super Bowl picks coming out of there. So Baltimore, the run game's crazy. Lamar Jackson possibly MVP, Derrick Henry, top 2 running back in the league. I don't see the Steelers slowing them down. Um, I got the Ravens.
Yeah, I gotta chime in and just say, I think when the Steelers played Philadelphia, we kind of identified the blueprint to stop their offense, and that was to put a lot of pressure on Russell Wilson. I think that Russell Wilson does good in the pocket. I think that he makes good decisions when there's not too much pressure on him. I think that Russell Wilson's a different quarterback when he gets hit. And once teams figure that out, hey, we put as much pressure on this, I think he's, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's like 37 years old or something, 37, 38 years old, quarterback. If you hit this guy, he's not going to play the same, because Russell Wilson has always been about conserving his body, and he spent millions and millions of dollars on every offseason on his body. So I think his number one fear is injury. So when that quarterback gets hit, he plays differently, and that's just what we've seen. That's what I've seen since he's played the Eagles and down the line. So we'll see. I mean, can Baltimore put pressure on him? I believe so.
Yeah.
So I'm going Baltimore.
All right, yeah. I have about the same thing. I'm going Baltimore with this one. I don't think the Steelers are good enough to do it. The only two caveats that I have with this are, one, we haven't seen Russell Wilson in the playoffs for about 4 to 5 years. I think his last appearance was 2020, if I'm not mistaken, or 2021, something like that. So, we haven't seen him in a while in the playoffs. It might be different. He might just be, same old Russell Wilson. We don't know. And then also the Steelers defense is pretty good. So they might pose a problem. I don't think they will. They might though. But I'm all in for the Ravens on this one. So I'm going to take Lamar on that.
Yeah, and I think there's like a fun fact. There was a statistics I saw. The Steelers are actually 1-5 in games where they're underdogs. So typically, when they're not like the favorite in a game, they have a very good record when they're favored. But when th're the underdog, they're 1-5. So they're definitely not gonna. They're definitely going to be an underdog in this one. Yeah, I don't see them being able to pull it out. As good as they do have a good defense, and Russell Wilson, you never know. I just think the Ravens overall have a better team. So that's why I think the Ravens. And I agree with you, Rob. I think it could be Kansas City or Baltimore coming out of the AFC. Buffalo right there, too. Obviously, I would say those are the big three heavy hitters. And then actually going into the next matchup, I would actually put in front of the Chargers, the Steelers, and the Texans, the Broncos and the Bills game. I would put the Broncos in front of them because the Broncos right now are actually a wild card. Matchup. They're kind of like the Commanders. You really just don't know, young quarterback. Broncos are playing some good football. So that's actually the Sunday game. Broncos Bills. That's the 1:00 game. And even I've seen some like NFL analysts and experts have. Most people are picking the Bills, but I've seen some experts actually say that they think that Denver is actually going to upset Buffalo in Buffalo. And if that happens, that would be a huge Josh Allen stock in Buffalo, after the good year that Josh Allen being the MVP and stuff in the MVP conversation. That would be a huge blow for Buffalo to lose on the road. Second year in a row, they had KC go there last year and beat them. There were no excuses for Buffalo last year because they had KC in their building. 1:00 game. I think this is going to be a really close game. Again, I could see the Broncos pulling the upset. I am going to go Bills here, but I wouldn't be shocked if you see some crazy stuff happen in this game where the Broncos could pull this one out. And Denver is used to playing in the cold weather too in Denver because it's cold there. So they go into Buffalo. I don't know. Could be a crazy matchup. I will go to Bills here though.
Yeah, I'm a Broncos fan, obviously, so I'll die with the Broncos. I'm picking the Broncos here. And there are a couple of reasons that I would say this is more plausible. Last year we won 24-22 with Russell Wilson. Obviously, we had our down year again, last year, but we still beat the Bills right after we beat the Chiefs. So I know it's in us. I don't know how we'll do this weekend, but we got the number one defense in sacks. So we've sacked the most times in the league. but Buffalo has given up the least amount of sacks in the league. So it's going to be, you know, a pretty good matchup. I think out of the AFC matchups, they are the best matched teams to play each other. But it's going to be a tough one. It's definitely going to be a close game. I think it's going to be, you know, probably a field goal to a touchdown game. It's not going to be, you know, a big, you know, a lot to a little, that sort of thing. So I'm thinking the Broncos are going to take it in a very tough matchup.
I like it.
Yeah, I gotta say, for me, I definitely gotta go Bills, man, because Josh Allen, I mean, he's in there in the MVP race, and until someone stops Josh Allen, has beat a lot of teams, including the Chiefs this year. And until I see somebody outright stop Josh Allen, I can't really pick anybody else over him right now. Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen, man, I don't even know. Just Josh Allen, the way he's been playing this year, even when they're behind, or even I never think that they're out of the game. You know what I mean? I always he's a clutch player. You know, he gets in the trenches when he needs to. He can throw the rock when he needs to. And he doesn't mind, obviously, you know, not putting everything on his shoulders. And leaning on his running backs as well. So that's just a great all-around quarterback. It's going to be really hard. Bo Nix is a great quarterback as well. I see greatness in Bo Nix. I honestly, you know, there's some games, of course, where you kind of scratch your head, and then there's games where you see greatness, and you just know that quarterback needs time. You know, I remember when, as an Eagles fan, I remember when Jalen Hurts, his first year, you know, it has some games where, wow, we have something, and there's some games where it's like, all right, you know, you need a little work. So it depends on what Bo Nix shows up. That's what I'm going to say. It's going to be you know, to me, it's going to be either a game where Bo Nix shows up and it's a tight game to the end, and Bills pull it off, you know, and have to do something crazy, or it's just going to be a blowout and Josh shows up. And Bo Nix is, you know, his first playoff game. We got to see how Bo Nix shows up. But I got to give it to the Bills for now, just because I've seen more playoff experience with this team and seen more on the resume, so to speak. But Bo Nix, listen, if he shows up, he can make it a game. I know that.
Yeah, so my take on it, and I really like the Broncos. I'm not gonna lie, but I gotta go with the Bills. But man, I'm looking at the Broncos defense, y'all rankings. Zach, you guys got a great defense, and defense wins championships and carries you in the playoff. So I'm going with the Bills, but I'm like leaning like, whoa, Broncos could have an upset for sure. But like Rich said, it's all up to Bo Nix and your offense to overcome the star power of Jeff Allen. I mean, you guys are number one in sacks. I see number 3 in rush defense. I'm like, wow, great defense. So it's going to carry y'all. It's going to be a good game. But if Josh Allen's firepower and star power overcomes that, y'all going to have trouble. So you're definitely an underdog. But to be honest, the underdog to win in this playoffs, I will give it to y'all. But I got to go with, I'll put my money on it. I got to go with the Bills.
Yeah. We got, you know, like the Bills are a really good rush offense. You know, they got James Cook, they got a pretty good O-line, so that also could be another factor is the rush defense and rush offense, that sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah, we were actually talking before the pod. Zach. Yeah,
No,
we were saying we were actually talking before the pod. That the Bills actually give up the least sacks, and then the Broncos actually have the number 1 sack defense. So it's going to be interesting. Something's going to have to give. But yeah, defense definitely wins championships. So we'll see. That could definitely be a game to watch. I think the Sunday slate is very interesting. A lot of good games going on Sunday. All right, so then we'll move to the 4:30 game. That's the Birds. We got the Birds going up against Green Bay. 4:30 slot Sunday. Jalen Hurts returned to practice on Wednesday. Good news there. Which I expected. You know, I didn't expect any type of curveballs or anything. That would be crazy if you didn't see Hurts practicing. I'm not gonna lie, I might sound really confident, but I don't know if we would win with a backup, but I do think the Eagles are the superior roster, defense and offense. Green Bay is one of those teams that they do like to spread the ball around on offense. I was looking at like the receivers. Nobody has like 1,000. Everybody's got like 800, 600, 400, like all their different receivers. But Christian Watson missing with that ACL tear last week, that's a big loss for Green Bay. And then also I think Love's going to play. But still, how banged up really is Jordan Love going into this game? Eagles are at home. Obviously, we don't have 2 scrub coordinators like we did last year. We got 2 competent coordinators in Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore. We got the better roster. I'm confident. Still humble, but and optimistic, but confident. Just a cool confidence that I think the Eagles win this game, and I think they win it, pretty handedly. We're the better roster. Top to bottom. We play our style of football, we win. Yeah. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, so I agree with you, Steve. Like, not to be biased, I am an Eagles fan, but we just a better team, all in all, down the marker. We are number 2 pass defense. We got shut down corners with Mitchell, DeJean, even Slay, throw Slay in there as well. So they don't have the firepower to beat our great defense. They lost Christian Watson. Love is also hurt as well. And then in terms of their defense, they do have a solid rush defense. But when it comes to their pass defense, it may not be as strong. So they're going to be focused on Saquon, but then they're going to be giving up the pass. So we just have too much firepower for them. They're outmatched. I really don't see Green Bay beating us. It'll be a crazy upset if we lose. So we're coming in very healthy. Jalen Hurts is back. Everybody's healthy. We're firing on all cylinders. So I don't see us losing.
Yep. Agreed there, man.
Yeah, I have to go along with Rob right there. I can't really picture it. Just because even going back to the Donovan McNabb days, we were successful against the Packers in the playoffs. So we do have a history of success against Packers. I think we're that one team that kind of has their number in recent history. Look at the defensive line. Look at the trenches. Look at the offensive line. Look at the injuries. Obviously Rob mentioned Watson towards ACL, season-ending injury. Jordan Love got shaken up against the Bears of all teams. The Bears shook up Jordan Love. So, that's really good information. I mean, that I watched the Packers game versus the Bears in week was that 18, week 18, 17. And it was I mean, it was a lot left to be desired on the field on both ends, but the fact that Green Bay couldn't seal the deal, and then on top of that, I know that Love got hurt early, but the fact that they allowed them to get to that quarterback early on tells me that I'm actually, it makes me worried for Jordan Love's health. And I'm an Eagles fan. I want the Eagles to win. Eagles will win, in my opinion. But I'm just kind of like, I don't know if Jordan Love is going to be safe out here with this defensive line. That's that the Brazil game included Jordan Love injury that impacted that team's season.
Yeah.
So that was caused by the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line.
Yeah.
And
their backups hurt.
Yeah. And we're 100% healthy. So I can't, and they're coming to our house this time. They're coming to the link. We're not in Brazil this time. So I can't, and we had guys like N'Kobe Dean complaining about, there's some certain plays that were on the field. We left a lot on the field. I kind of wanted to throw up because we didn't play our best. We let them put up 29 points on us. But Eagles haven't been letting teams score, more than 21 to 23 points a game, more than that. So I if you want to ask me, do I think we can throw up a good 25 to 31 points on this game? Yeah, I'm sure. So, even if we don't play our best defense, I still do think that You know, Devontae Smith's healthy. Obviously, AJ Brown sat out practice today, but that was
Yeah.
precautionary.
Yeah.
But all of our guys are healthy, so I'm not necessarily worried. It's an expectation at this point in Philly. Get out of the first round. You know, this isn't 2023 where you got a bum offensive coordinator like we did last year. We have all the pieces in place.
Yep.
Let's get it done.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with all you guys. The Eagles. I do think the Eagles are gonna seal the deal in this game, but I will say in the first quarter they're probably gonna have some troubles just because Jalen Hurts is coming off of a 3-week break, you know, and I would not be surprised if Green Bay gets an early jump on them, but I do think the Eagles will overpower them through the end of the game, and they'll single-handedly just wipe them out and do their thing, and you know it'll be a Eagles victory. You guys are going to go on to the next round, that sort of thing. And I do not think there's going to be any trouble within the Eagles after that first couple of drives or maybe first quarter, and I think it'll be smooth sailing after that one.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too. Jalen Hurts, he'll definitely probably have a little bit of rust coming out, so I think it's good to get him involved early. And yeah, we technically we're very much like a second half like team, or even like starting second quarter. We obviously in the first quarter this year, there's been a lot of games where we scored absolutely 0 points. So we are notoriously a slower start team, but yeah, I like our chances here. Josh Jacobs is another thing to watch. Josh Jacobs, they do have a good running game, so I think if we can stop their running game, as long as they can, not really be able to utilize the clock a lot. That's a big thing too. Yeah, I didn't realize their backup is nursing an injury too. So if something happens to Love, I don't really know what kind of goes on there, but I just think with a more solid team all around, and I think we get the dub here. And then
and Steve, that backup played horrible against the Bears. He was
Malik Willis,
horrifying, man, horrifying.
To lose to the Bears is crazy work. Like the Bears actually, ever since that Hail Mary game, I know it's a division game, but ever since that Hail Mary game where they lost to Washington, they lost to Washington at the end. Somebody had said on the radio, like after that game on Philly sports radio, that the Bears weren't going to win another game, and they almost didn't, except for that Packers game. Because if they lost to the Packers, they would have went on a losing streak all the way the rest of the season after starting 4-2, which is insane. They just lost their locker room completely. Like after that, like they had that cornerback talking trash to the fans and stuff, and then he's the one who like lets up like the actual Hail Mary. He like tipped it up, so that's insane. But yeah, I think we might start off slow as well. But overall, we eventually are able to incorporate. Jalen gets going, Saquon gets going, and yeah.
Just to add, Rich, you were saying we had the Packers number. That is true, but that was during the regular season. Actually, the last time we played them in the playoffs, we lost. I know my little brother's a Packers fan, and he always reminds me of that.
You actually took my point. I knew I was missing something there, man. I was trying to think because I knew I was missing something. I wanted to let you guys get all your thoughts and then come back. Yeah, so I think we're like 2-1 or 3-1 or something in history, but our one loss is Aaron Rodgers in 2011 when he won the Super Bowl that year.
Remember Michael Vick? He threw it to Riley Cooper. Yep. Yeah, we lost to the Packers. My little brother rubs that in my face all the time, so that's why I'm like, yeah. But
listen, you
gotta win.
You're gonna have a chance to laugh in his face. Like, you guys gotta listen. I got wherever this game is, man. You bring your bro, man. We all gotta watch this together, man. I gotta see this moment, this brotherly moment, man, where the Eagles just stomp on the Packers.
He told me he don't want to be around a bunch of Eagles fans.
You know what it is.
Is that Jeremiah?
Yeah, Jeremiah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, brother.
That's funny. That's funny as hell. Hey, man, the Packers have notoriously always had good teams. They just can't get the job done with Aaron Rodgers all those years. How many times they get to the NFC Championship game? It kind of felt like the Eagles. The Eagles back in like the early days with Andy Reid. We always get to the NFC Championship game, always lose. So, I feel like Drew Brees was always like that too. Drew Brees with the Saints would always get to that NFC Championship game ever since that 2009 Super Bowl and just never could get past it after he got his first Super Bowl.
I still remember Michael Vick throwing that interception. Oh my God, to Williams against the Packers.
Oh yeah, I think it was Trayvon Williams. Yeah.
Yeah, my brother brings that up all the time. Oh God, I hate that.
Yeah, because we honestly could have won that game. We were right in it. Like, and then that pick just it was over.
It killed us. But we're gonna rewrite history. We're gonna whoop
Yeah,
him.
redemption.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rub it in his face.
Yeah, I know some Cowboys fans were kind of talking trash. They're like, "Oh, look at what the Packers did last year." I'm like, yeah, but we're not the Cowboys, so we're not Dallas, so you can't compare us. And
Cowboys
honestly,
have no playoff success in modern history. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
and Green Bay's been on a slide towards the end of the season, whereas like they've been kind of on a downturn. Whereas last year they were actually on the up and up, kind of going into the playoffs last year, so it was different. I'll be honest, I did not pick Green Bay to beat Dallas though last year. Dallas really shocked me. I thought they were going to lose in the divisional round. They got whooped. Crazy.
Bro, I was saying that. I was saying Dallas was going to lose that game, man. I was saying like I don't remember when, but ever since that Dez no catch situation, man, like Packers have just always had the Cowboys number in the playoff.
It's true.
Like I don't know what it is about Cowboys and Packers, but it doesn't matter where or when in the playoffs, Packers always beat the Cowboys.
They always do. I always thought that was an Aaron Rodgers thing, but I guess it's a Packers thing.
True.
We got that. This is a good game too, man. The Sunday night game. I'm checking this Penn State game. It's still 0-0. So there ain't nothing going on there right now. But wild card matchup on Sunday night. We got the Commanders going down to Florida, going to Tampa Bay. They're going to play the Bucks. I think this is a real interesting game. You know, the Bucks are they're very much like inconsistent. Like you don't know what type of Buccaneers team you're gonna get. One day they're blowing a team out, like they blew the Chargers out the one week, and then they're struggling and they're about to they lose to Dallas. So you don't know what type of like Buccaneers team you're getting or what type of Baker Mayfield you're getting. And then the Rams. I mean, not the Rams. It's the Commanders too. Like they're playing good ball, but then at the same time they're sometimes inconsistent. But Jaden Daniels, I like Jaden Daniels. I hate to say that because he's in the division, but he looks like he's going to be special for years to come. We're going to have a good rivalry inside the division. They remind me of like a wild card team like the Broncos, like in the NFC side, the Commanders. I'm actually going to go with the upset here, but I can see the Bucks winning. But I'm going to go with the upset here, and I'm actually going to say that the Commanders are going to pull this one out on the road in Tampa. On Sunday night, I don't know. Tampa's just too inconsistent for me. I know they do usually play pretty well at home, but if the Bucks do play their style of football, I think they'll win. But I don't know. I feel like it's going to be an upset game. I think the Commanders are going to go in there and win.
All right, that's interesting, real interesting. I do think the Bucks are going to pull this one off. I do think it will be a close game. The Commanders, they're always a good team. This year they've been really strong, and the Bucks. I don't know. The past few years they've just been notoriously a good team and strong. Yes, they have had their downs, but I think everything is gonna go for the Bucks in this game. I think the Bucks are really just gonna classically pull it out in a close game and move on to the next round. Do I think it goes farther than that? I don't know. We'll have to see, but I do take the Bucks in this one.
Yeah, not a bad choice.
Yeah, this is a tight one. Honestly, I think this is probably the closest matched one. Like without just an easy guess. All right, this team is gonna win. Like it's so tight.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have to go with the Bucks to be honest. Because the experience that Baker Mayfield has in the playoffs. Like you said, you don't know what team you're gonna get with the Bucks. You're very right, but from their history in the playoffs, usually they show up the strong team. So they got Mike Evans. They got a good strong offense. Bucky Irvin. And then the Commanders are good, but I just don't see Jaden Daniels in his first playoff game whooping on the Buccaneers defense. He's a strong player, but knowing Todd Bowles, what he's going to do to Jaden Daniels in his first playoff game, I don't know. So if I had to put my money on it, I got the Bucks, but it's very tight. Like I can see Washington winning that game for sure. So
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
For myself, I'm just gonna say I hope you're right, Steve. Like I hope there's an upset, and I really want to see Redskins again bad. Like I want to be the team to eliminate them. I want my team to be the team to eliminate them from the playoffs to stop all this Jaden Daniels hype. Now, Jaden Daniels, he's a great rookie quarterback. He is. He is probably. I mean, he's a top rookie quarterback. Obviously, he should win. Rookie of the year, in my opinion. You know, that being said, I do think that Washington's a very dirty team. I think that they have a lot of favoritism with the refs and Goodell being from Washington, being having background as being a Commanders fan. I don't think that they get some of the situations. With Jalen Hurts, obviously the purpose of his concussion was a low helmet to helmet hit that was not fined or anything. Um, Anyway, that's another conversation. Going into the Commanders and Bucks game, I do think that Buccaneers will pull it off. I'm gonna go as far as to say this: if we have to play the Buccaneers in the playoffs this season, and let's say Buccaneers, my prediction is Buccaneers is going to beat Washington. By the way, if we have to play the Buccaneers have been responsible for getting us out of the playoffs twice. I will go as far as to say that if we make it to the Super Bowl will not be the hardest game that we would play this playoffs. It's going to be the game versus the Bucks because they have Jalen Hurts. That Buccaneers defense has Jalen Hurts' number. 100%.
I'm gonna say this: if we play the Bucks, I think this team is gonna be fired up to give this team revenge because there's a lot of I think that like they actually would be super fired up to play this team. They got to come in here to the link. They're a South team. They got to come up to the cold into our building. I think that this Eagles team is going to be fired up to get them revenge because like they're always eliminating us. They always give us fits, but every time they give us fits, it's in like weird situations. Like first year, Tom Brady going against Jalen Hurts. It's Jalen Hurts' first year. There was not much expected out of the Eagles that year. Last year, we're on a down slump. I don't think, we all watched the game, for moral support. We're rooting for the Eagles, obviously, but we didn't really feel too good about that game. They're on a down slump. A.J. Brown hurt in MetLife, so A.J. Brown did not play. And then this year, we're missing A.J. Brown. We're missing Devontae Smith. We're missing Lane Johnson. They beat us. We did beat them handedly last year when we were full strength. We beat them by 2 touchdowns. And that game, I think that game was in Tampa. They haven't played here in a while. Now, yeah, they could give us fits, but I think this Eagles team is going to be fired up to play them. If we're fully healthy, I think we're just going to, take. He's going to try to dial up the blitz and everything like that. But yeah, last time all they had to do was take away Saquon when they played us this year because we didn't have any of our receivers. So I think it would be different if we play them, but it'll be interesting. I know.
Sorry, I cut you off. Just to say,
No,
because I know you're about to move on here. If we can beat the Bucks in the playoffs this season, and I think that will give our team and we stay intact, like injury wise, obviously. Like I believe that if we stop the Buccaneers, and I believe that we will win the Super Bowl. That's how much of a boost I think us beating the Buccaneers would give this team.
Interesting.
Yep.
I don't know about that because you guys still would have to get through Detroit, and Detroit is really, really strong. They are a very good football team. They've been playing airless football lately. Like, I don't know, like Detroit and Philadelphia, I think it would be a good matchup, but I don't know. I think Detroit might take this one all the way. So that's just my opinion, though.
I disagree, and here's why. We played Detroit before. We played a good Detroit team before. We beat them in their house. We beat them in their
years ago
in their stadium. And I mean, but it was still the same quarterback. It was still Jared Goff.
It was.
My opinion is, with all the injuries on Detroit's defense, they're not a fully healthy team. And I am willing to predict that by the time we even reach them in the NFC Championship, if we make it to the NFC Championship, and I know the Lions will be there, and I feel anyway.
They just
The
got to
Lions-
win one game. They just got to win one game to get there.
They just got to win one game. The Lions are going to be in the NFC Championship. I'm just going to say it.
I agree. I'll go on record and probably say that most likely the Lions will be there. I don't see
Yeah,
anybody.
me too.
I don't see anybody in that divisional round beating the Lions.
Yeah,
No.
same.
I mean, they're either going to play Minnesota or they're going to play the Rams. And honestly, you saw what they did last week to Minnesota. And, you know, even if the Rams beat them, I don't think they're going to do any better.
Sam
that
Darnold
quarterback-
looked scared. Sam Darnold looked
Yeah.
scared, man. They were bringing the heat. He didn't know what to do. He looked horrible.
Yeah, Darnold doesn't know what to do with pressure. I feel like Jalen Hurts is like he's not perfect with pressure, but Sam Darnold is not Jalen Hurts in the sense of presenting that run threat, that dual quarterback threat that the Lions got to watch out for that, you know, because they got to watch out for Devontae Smith, let's say in the slot. They got to watch out for Dallas Goedert. They got to watch out for A.J. Brown. They got to take into account. And look, I agree with you on, you know, the Vikings didn't really play well. But if you watch the whole game, the first 3 quarters of the game was a close game. Like the Vikings were staying in there with the Lions, but they made a couple of crucial mistakes, and that was one of the 4th downs they did not go for, where they should have went for it when they were behind 7 points, and when the Lions got the ball back, they scored again. That is where they lost complete control of the game. But you know, to your point, I agree. You know, the Lions are a tough team. They're going to be our toughest matchup of the season. I agree. But I just feel like from that David and Goliath stance, like the Bucs have been our Goliath. Like the Bucs have been the team that has ended our season multiple times. And I feel like that's such a mental hurdle to the point where if we can get over that mental hurdle, I think that the team, you know, the self-confidence within the team is going to be at an all-time high to where they'll be mentally prepared to play the Lions if we can overcome the Bucs. So I again, I don't want to have to go through that though. You know, I would much rather play the Commanders and go that way, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The Lions are the one team I do think they have the honest shot to knock the Eagles off. As much as they have the crazy injuries, they're still winning games, man. They're just very well coached, and you know their culture there is really, really strong. They do have a strong culture. They were asking Jared Goff what it's like to play for Dan Campbell. He actually like teared up in the interview. So they really do believe in each other. They honestly kind of remind me of the bond the Eagles kind of had in the 2017 year to the 2018. They got a strong bond. They got a good culture. And as much as they have injuries on defense, you saw they were still able to dial it up against Sam Darnold. I give their defensive coordinator, props there with a limited defense. And then their offense is obviously fantastic. I heard they might even be getting Montgomery back in the divisional round. You know, they actually might be still getting that 2-headed monster because they might be getting Montgomery back with Jahmyr Gibbs. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's kind of the collision course, right? The Eagles play their style of football. It's going to be Eagles Lions, and that's going to be the collision course for the actually Marius just joined in here. Yo, what's up, Marius? What's up, brother?
Yeah, what's up, my man? How you doing? What's up, guys?
Hey, how you doing?
Yo, what's up, man? We're about to get to the final game here, man. But just real quick, man. I'll just ask you, man. We're gonna get to the Monday night game. Who are your picks Saturday through Sunday, man, for the games, the upcoming games? We got Chargers and Texans as the first Saturday game.
I think the Chargers.
And then we got Ravens Steelers Saturday night.
I'll take Baltimore.
Yeah. So that was just us two. They're pretty easy for us to pick both of those. And then another interesting game. We got Bills Broncos on that Sunday 1:00 slate.
I'll take the Bills on that one.
Yeah, that's what we did too. But Zach took the Broncos, but that could be a wild card game. Could be interesting. Birds and Packers.
No, you're all good, man.
Birds and Packers.
You already know the answer.
Hey, I do. And then Commanders and Bucks.
I'm actually gonna go with the Commanders.
Okay. Everybody else went Bucks. I went Commanders on that one. Is pulling the upset. Yeah. All right, so me and you agree on that one. So now I'm just gonna jump to this Monday one here. So this is gonna be the Vikings. Vikings are going to LA. They're going to play the Rams. Rams are a weird team. Like it depends on the quarterback. Like if Matthew Stafford shows up, anything. If Matthew Stafford when he plays his A game, he still looks good. Vikings do still have a.
My bad
What's
to
that, bro?
interrupt you. Just a quick FYI. I don't know if you guys are aware, because of the wildfires in LA, the game is actually going to be played in Arizona. They just announced it a little while ago.
Oh,
So it's
really? I
not going
didn't
to be
know
played
that.
in LA. Yeah, it's going to be played in Arizona. They just announced it. So LA is not going to have the home. I don't think it's going to be a home field advantage for LA. I'm not sure how many Rams fans are in Arizona. So I think this heavily favors the Vikings.
I'll be honest, Vikings fans probably still would have took over SoFi because the Rams don't really have a strong fan base like that compared to the Vikings. They have a really strong fan base. So every time the Eagles go and play LA, like we take over their stadium every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
it's an
mean,
interesting. Yeah,
sorry. That's
game.
kind of how SoFi is built, though. It's kind of dominated for like the away teams. Like even when I've gone there, when they played like the Lions or when they played, the Broncos, it's always been, heavy towards the away team, and I've always seen like more Lions fans. I always seen more Broncos fans. So I think that's the way that SoFi is set up to kind of be more away oriented.
Yeah, LA is
Yeah,
a basketball city. They don't really mess with football like that. So whenever you see the Rams games, there's always the other team that's filling the stadium. So
Now the only football team LA loves, man, is USC, bro.
yeah, so
yeah,
That's true.
USC. And even
it's
LA,
just
it's only the one LA team. The Clippers don't got the fan base. It's the Lakers.
Yep.
pretty much.
Yeah, it's the Lakers out there. This is gonna be interesting. It'll be an interesting game. I'll be honest. I do think. I actually prefer. I would hope like that the Rams could pull an upset here, but I am actually gonna go the Vikings. I think they're gonna go into this game really pissed off. After just losing to Detroit, I think they get back to their footing, and I think, Justin Jefferson. I don't really think that they have a great secondary in LA. I think that Justin Jefferson, he's a beast. And then Addison too. They got a nice two-headed monster with them two receivers. If that line can hold, I will say, Jared Verse and some of the guys they got up front with LA, they do have a good pass rush, and it was actually a really good game the last two times these two teams played. LA actually pulled the upset on the Vikings, but all I remember seeing is there were controversy over like a holding or a face mask or something, and the Vikings kind of got screwed in that game. But this game, it should be. I think that was in LA too, but I'm gonna pick the Vikings here. I think that the Vikings are overall, their record is that for a reason. I think they're the better team overall. So I'm just gonna go Minnesota on this one.
Yeah, I agree. Totally. I got the Vikings on this one. Rams got good firepower on offense. I'm not gonna lie, but the Vikings, they're almost number one for a reason. As long as Sam Darnold doesn't choke, they got a solid defense. They got Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones, solid offense. It's really on Sam Darnold just to manage the game and make sure he doesn't turn the ball over or stifle the offense. Once he's in play, just does his job. Vikings got this clearly.
Yep.
How many playoffs games has Sam Darnold been in?
Is this his first one?
I think it's his first one because he was with the Jets most of his career,
Oh yeah.
and the Jets have been trash for such a long time. So yeah, I think this is his first one.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's gonna go with experience. I'm going Matthew Stafford to upset, the Vikings. And you saw what happens when they bring pressure, and I think the Rams will emulate that. And they saw like, oh, that was kind of the blueprint to beat, Sam Darnold. Let's go after it. And I mean, it's going to be a close game, whether or not people like it. It's going to be close, and I think that the Rams are going to come out victorious because I think experience will play against Sam Darnold. Like, yes, he's been in the league. Yes, he's seen, good defenses, but I think, him being a first time, playoff appearance person against Matthew Stafford, who's been in the league, who's been around, who's won a Super Bowl, right? He's won a Super Bowl with the Rams, or was that with Goff? I can't remember.
No, that was no, that was
Stafford.
when
That was
Stafford,
Stafford?
yeah.
Okay.
That was his first year there when he got traded.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I remember they won against the Bengals, but I didn't know with who. But yeah, so the Rams, I think they typically are the better team in the playoffs than Minnesota, and I'm pulling for that upset.
Yeah, very well could be. I just updated the score up top. Penn State just got a field goal, so they are up 3. But yeah, no, the Rams absolutely. You're right. They could dial up that pressure and be able to pull an upset. I wouldn't be shocked if they do. You never know. So, like, that's actually a good point. Is this Sam Darnold's first playoff game? It could be interesting. Stafford's a vet. Stafford's been there. Very well could pull an upset. They're still the Vikings still have to travel further. It's a further travel day for them. You never know. You never know with that game. That could be a weird game.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I'm actually going to go with the Vikings, man. And I think the thing is, I think they're going to make adjustments to the blitz. I don't think they're going to allow Sam Darnold to get beat up like he got beat up last week when they played Detroit. I think they're going to, I think for them it was kind of more of like a learning lesson. And it's crazy to me how a team that finished 14 wins and 3 losses, man, is going into the playoffs as a wild card. That's just absolutely insane. So I'm actually I'm actually going to take the Vikings on that one, man. The Rams made a big mistake last week not being the Seahawks because they could have avoided the Vikings altogether. So I'm going to go with Minnesota.
Interesting. This one's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going with Minnesota as well. I think, Darnold doesn't have playoff experience, but I think the Vikings team is hungry enough. I think that they have enough veterans in the locker room that have had playoff experience to give some insight and some wisdom. I think they have a great coach. I think that as of right now, the Vikings coach is better than the Rams coach as of right now. I think that they have a better fan base, more motivation behind them to go in there and pull off the win. So these teams got 2 good gunslingers. I mean, Sam Darnold is not by any means elite, but if Matthew Stafford I think Stafford has won his Super Bowl. I think he's reached the tip of his career, and I think he's kind of going down now. He's trending down. Not to say that he's not a good quarterback, but I think Sam Darnold can be a duel. If we're going defense, I'm going to go with the Vikings defense over the Rams defense. So
Cool.
coaching,
Valid.
defense, fan base, and quarterback, I think Vikings have more of that in their favor than the Rams.
Yeah, I like what Kevin O'Connell's doing over there in Minnesota. They're playing. He's coaching a good team. So then it would. I'm not going to go through the whole thing with predicting the second rounds and everything, but just from the Eagles' standpoint, we would play one of 3 teams in the second round, depending on how the trajectory goes. Obviously we got to win on Sunday. If we get to the second round, we're going to play either the Bucs, the Rams, or the Vikings. I feel confident against any of those teams, and even Minnesota. I think if they come here, we saw what the Lions were able to do, dialing up the pressure. I think Vic will dial up the pressure, and we'll be able to. And to be honest, our secondary, like I know they got Justin Jefferson. We have a history of actually playing Justin Jefferson really well. We've played Minnesota like the last couple of years, and we have a history of playing well against Jettas. So Justin Jefferson, not saying he like struggles, but he doesn't have like a blowout, like fantastic game when we play him. And this year, our secondary is really good. So even if we play Minnesota, I think we'll be able to handle Minnesota, especially in Philly. Bucks, like I said, I think they'd be hungry. And the Rams, we just always seem to have LA's number. I looked it up. I think we're 4-1 or 5-1 against. I think 4-1 against Sean McVay. He's only beaten us once, and it was in a year where we were on a downturn with Wentz in 2020. We always seem to beat the Rams, and any of those teams will have to come here to Philly. So I feel confident. I just feel like this is set up. We play our ball. It's set up to be a collision course to play Detroit. Overall, we'd be going to Detroit. And I just feel like that's where it's set up, to be honest. Barring anything crazy.
I do have last thing to say, just about because Zach had a really good point about Vikings versus Detroit. Detroit defense did a really great job. Detroit versus Vikings, that game, Vikings made it to the red zone 3 times. There were 3 times where Vikings made it to the red zone where they could not score against Detroit. And I think that was the game right there. Those 3 times where Vikings were able to move the ball versus Detroit, but they could not finish. And I think the issue with the Vikings is against elite teams, they cannot finish. The thing is, though, the Rams aren't elite. And I think that's why I think the Vikings can pull it off. So we'll see. We'll see.
We definitely will. It should be interesting. There's some good matchups. I'm curious to see. Obviously, as an Eagles fan, I'm curious to see our matchup. But I'm not gonna lie, that Commanders and Bucks matchup is interesting for me. And I'm not even gonna lie. The Bills and the Broncos one could be interesting. I'm not gonna lie. Could be very interesting. So I'm sorry if the Broncos upset Buffalo. Josh Allen and like anybody that says anything about Josh Allen, I know that it's a team sport, but and everything about the Bills. Bills fans, people cannot talk like in Buffalo. Like this is the year where they have to. I would say actually last year was the year. They had them in Buffalo on the road, and Kansas City was still able to go in there and win. So Buffalo and Baltimore have a lot to show me in the AFC. I know those are the 3 main heavy hitters. Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City. Buffalo and Baltimore have a lot to show, though, because Lamar got his first playoff win last year, and then Josh Allen. It's all going to come down to who's going to have to play KC. And KC, I was actually looking at the trajectory there, too. When they have a bye, when they play the divisional round, they're going to be playing they're not going to play Buffalo or Baltimore. If both those teams win, they're the 2 and 3 seed, they're going to play each other. So I'm not going to lie, maybe the Broncos division game could give them. It's interesting, but if Buffalo wins and Baltimore wins, I think the Chiefs are going to have a relatively easy. I don't ever like to say easy, but the Chiefs are the Chiefs. I think they're going to have a relatively easy second round, and they're just going to rewrite back in the AFC Championship game. Just wait.
Yeah, I think if they play the Texans, it's going to be easy, or it's not going to be as difficult. But I will say this: if it is the Chargers, last time the Chiefs played the Chargers, man, they were very fortunate to pull it out, man. Remember that field goal, the dude hit it and it hit the upright and it went through. So, and it's also division rival as well. So you never know how those games can end up in the playoffs. So I think if it's the Chargers, I still have Kansas City winning, but it's going to be much closer than people think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got Kansas City in the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, I hope not. I would much rather see Buffalo, Baltimore, even Denver. I'd much rather see any of those teams. Just everyone in the AFC has to show me something with KC, because I counted them out last year. I thought there was no way in hell KC was going on the road. They played Miami, then went on the road to Buffalo, beat Buffalo, then went on the road to Baltimore, beat Baltimore, and ended up in the Super Bowl. I had to say, I was like, I can't disrespect. Hey, I don't like the Chiefs, but I can't disrespect. You went on the road, you had a hard road to get there, and they still got it. Until they're knocked out, I'm not counting Kansas City out. It's crazy.
Well, you also got to look at, let's say Denver does make it, right?
Yeah.
And they play Kansas City. The last last 2 times we've played Kansas City, we've given them a problem. We beat them last year at our place, obviously. And then this year we went into Arrowhead and we lost off a quote unquote blocked field goal, which I mean, I honestly think, obviously it wasn't, really blocked. I think, I do think that we let, the script kind of go towards Kansas City and just, just let them win and do their thing. Because if you think about it, they were on track to be an undefeated team. What has Patrick Mahomes not had? He hasn't had an undefeated season. So if you think about it, maybe that's how it went. And they were like, oh, yeah, they can be undefeated, that sort of thing. But I do think that we do have the Chiefs numbers because we only lost by 2 points, right? So, with a rookie quarterback, first time ever playing their defense, and we did that to them. And then obviously, this last time they were resting starters and they weren't actually the Kansas City of Kansas City. But, still, like, to beat them 38-0 and to be backups in the NFL, it still says something, and that sort of thing. But, I do think if Denver does make it, I think Denver has the best shot out of the 3 teams to play Kansas City.
They could. That could be a weird game. Division game. That could be really, really weird. I'll tell you this: if Denver beats Buffalo, I'm gonna be the biggest Broncos fan, man. I'll be rooting for your team like crazy. Because you know what? It could be weird. It could be really, really weird. You never know. Division games are like that, and that would be crazy. Can you imagine like the Broncos knock off the Bills and Kansas City? That would be crazy.
We beat them back to back last year, so it's not unknown. So we have it familiarized with our heads, but
I give that a 15% chance.
To beat, I'll just say this though: to beat Mahomes in the playoffs is so hard. Like I think the only one
to beat Allen and Mahomes, that's something a lot of great teams can't even.
The Broncos deserve to be in the Super Bowl if they do that. I'm gonna be honest; like they deserve to be in the Super Bowl. Like
100%.
If they do that, and Bo Nix, a first-year quarterback, you have to put absolute respect on Bo Nix's name already. You have to put respect on his name if you do that. That's ridiculous. You know what, though? Sean Payton's a good coach. You never know. Sean Payton is a good coach. He's a good coach. It could be interesting. Mahomes in the playoffs, I think the only 2 losses he has are what?
To Brady?
To Brady in the Super Bowl and then to Burrow with Cincy. Right? Or no, he lost to Brady actually twice, right? Because he lost to Brady when he played for New England too, right? I think.
No, first year.
Yeah, first
year.
Did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he lost
in the AFC title game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was remember the famous play where the Patriots threw an interception, but the Chiefs player was offside, so they called it back, and then the Patriots went down the field and they scored a touchdown and they went to the Super Bowl.
He got lucky in that. He got lucky in that Cincy game too. I remember the Eagles went to the Super Bowl. We had already beaten San Fran, and we were watching that game. And I remember it was a really like, what was it, like an unsportsmanlike conduct call, like a shove out of bounds, a late shove or something. They called it late, and it put Kansas City, I think, at field goal range to win the game. And it's they've had a lot of weird things happen to win. So.
The shit that they've had this year, man, I don't know how the hell they pulled out some of those games.
Yeah.
Like they're the luckiest 15-2 team I've ever seen, dude.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like you never know. All they got to do is try to relax and sit back, and then get a little too cute, get a little too comfortable, and one of these young and hungry teams could come up and get them. That's crazy. If
they're 8 plays away from being, a 7-10 team. If you really think about it.
Yeah. Yep.
So
they really are. It's interesting. I won't count them out until I see it, but I'll just let you know I'll be the biggest Broncos fan. If they want to be upsetting Buffalo, I'll definitely be rooting on your team because I want to see KC out.
Yeah, I mean I'm rooting on the Eagles. I want to see him go back. I've wanted to see him go back ever since that 2017, where they had a 28, what was it, 28-0 lead or whatever. Like, that was the most stressful thing ever.
Yeah, man. If you're ever out this way, man, we'll have to meet up. We'll have to treat you to like a cheesesteak, take you to some of the local to like some of the we won't take you to if you ever come to Philly, we won't take you to the tourist spots. We'll take you to like the actual good food spots because everybody goes to
All
like
right.
Geno's and Pat's and all the tourist spots. Yeah. There's so many good spots in Philly. But yeah, no, even if we play the Lions, I'll be honest, and we lose, I'm okay with that. Like the Lions have never seen it; they've never even been to a Super Bowl, so very well earned. Yeah, I'll be upset because like it's my team, but at the end of the day, if anybody's gonna beat us to go to the Super Bowl, Detroit, I'm gonna be honest, like they deserve it. So their fan base has never seen a Super Bowl, so they've never even been there. So
But
if they
this
go
not
there, hey, hats off to them.
listen, this not a charity, man. I listen. I'm not. I'm just by the way that 2022 Super Bowl went, like just by the way, that went with the Chiefs, man. I honestly think we deserve our shot at a second Super Bowl. I think that we deserve it. I understand Lions haven't won and they're great this year, but that's what makes the Super Bowl so valuable, though, is that a lot of great teams
Mhm.
in history have never. Dan Marino has never won a Super Bowl. Like it's so many NFL legends that have never won. Barry Sanders, another Lions legend that's never won a Super Bowl, and that's a part of the reason why I feel like we should run over the Lions, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. With the injuries that they have, I understand they're still a good team. But I'm gonna be honest with you, 100%. Lions haven't really played anyone since those injuries that pose a super serious threat playoff wise,
Yeah.
playoff contention
Man,
wise.
they've played good teams this year though, man. They've had a good schedule. I'll say this. I think the Eagles are equipped to beat the Lions. We are. We're very well, we're like the most I would argue we're like the best well-rounded team. We're the most well-rounded team in football.
Post injury, Steve,
But-
they played good team. They played a team that's in the running for the Super Bowl post defensive injuries.
Yeah, I'll say this though, like they swept Green Bay, they swept the Minnesota. They're in a tough division, so they swept them.
Come on, man. Green Bay is not a contender though. Green Bay is a
Well,
pretender.
I will say this: when they first beat Green Bay, though, earlier in the season, Green Bay was playing really, really good football. So it really depends on where you play the teams too. I'll say this though: like I can't disrespect them. I think it will be a close game, but I think the Eagles are the most well-equipped team to beat them. I will say that.
Green Bay last
I think,
year won 4 games in a row going into the playoffs. Last
Yeah.
year, 4 games in a row going to the playoffs. This year, they've been limping. They've been losing games down to the last game before they started the playoffs. You got to admit that. I mean, I understand that the Vikings and Green Bay on paper, they should be great teams. But look at the playoff history in recent years, and let's say the past 5-6 years with Green Bay and Vikings. I think that regular season wise, Vikings and Green Bay are great teams. But I think in the playoffs, Vikings can probably make it through the first round, but I don't seriously see Vikings winning an NFC championship. I don't see Vikings, it's hard for me to see them making it to. I see them making it to the second round, and they could beat the Rams. But like I said, Rams aren't.
I don't see the Vikings. Yeah, I don't see the Vikings getting to the NFC Championship game either. I will say Detroit's is different though. Like their only 2 losses this year are to Buffalo. That game could have every time Buffalo scored, they were right in it. So they lost by like 6, and then they lost to who else did they lose to? They lost to the Bucks too, just like we did. They lost by 4. So 10-point differential from being 17-0, and also we could say for the Eagles 2 drops away from being 16-1. So I don't think we're going to run through them. I think it will be a good game, competitive game. I think we come out on top, but I think it will be a very competitive game. I don't think we'll run through them. And any other crazy injuries happen, like they lose Gibbs or Amon-Ra St. Brown goes down, or like they lose even more players on the defensive side, Gibbs goes down. Like unless something crazy happens, if like they're still at the same roster they are now, they're getting Montgomery back too. I think it'll be a good game overall. I do.
No, I never said
the Eagles will lose.
I never said we'll run through the Detroit Lions, but I'm saying that they haven't been really challenged leading up into the playoffs. Like they haven't really ever since Okay, so every year, every team has some level of adversity. At some point, every championship team faces some level, whether it's the Chiefs, whether it's the Rams, whether it doesn't matter who. No matter how good you look in the regular season, right? And
Yep.
for this year, the Lions' injuries are their adversity. We could say the injuries that they face. They're pretty much a lot of their starters on the defense for the Lions are out. They're gone. They're not coming back. So this is the issue here is that what what type of Lions defense will we see in the playoffs? Because we know
Yeah.
that you can stop. You can stop the Vikings, and this is your division. You know them well. What about the teams? What about the teams? Who you don't know well, outside of your division in the NFC. And like you said, I agree. Eagles, I think, are the best equipped to do this, and we can control the ball with the run game. We're one of the top running offenses in the league. That's how you control the ball. You keep the ball away from the Lions offense. That's how you beat them. That's the blueprint.
Yep.
Because their weakness is their defense. Their offense is the thing that brought them through that Vikings game. Is their offense.
Yeah, their offense. Yeah, their offense has had a lot of firepower. I will say though, I'm impressed at how their defensive coordinator, I forget what his name is, their defensive coordinator, how he was able to bring pressure against Darnold like that, because Darnold usually hasn't seen that type of pressure. I will say our offensive line is really, really good. I'm not sure where Minnesota stacks up on the offensive line side, but I'll be honest, like watching that game, I was like, oh shit. Like I didn't realize though, like with all those injuries, like I honestly had the Vikings going in winning that game. And I didn't really realize that like Detroit was going to be able to bring pressure like that. So they dialed it up real well. Yeah, obviously their offense is the firepower. Their defense is definitely banged up.
But they moved the ball.
Penn State scored.
They moved the ball
they scored
against
touchdown.
that defense, though.
Got the score up here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The
No,
Lions-
honestly,
it's the red zone. They got in the like I said, the game was the Vikings got in the Lions red zone 3 times. They did not score 1 point 3 times. They went for it on 4th down 3 times, and they came away with 3 of those drives with 0 points. 3 drives where you're in the red zone, 0 points. You're going to lose the game.
I agree. That doesn't happen to us. Like we're not going down there 3 times.
That's not going to
scoring.
happen with the Eagles. I'm telling you.
Yeah, but that's the whole point of it, though. They lost 31-9. You know, they essentially got blown out. Like that won't happen to us. That game will be close. I can see it being like a field goal or touchdown win game, but I think we can go in there and pull it out. If it was in Philly, I would say absolutely. There's a lot of factors. Like I think for them, if they had Aiden, like obviously they lost Aiden Hutchinson so early in the year. If they had Aiden Hutchinson right now, I'm not gonna lie, I would probably pick them to go to the Super Bowl. You know, if Aiden Hutchinson hadn't gone down, but I'm confident in our team, man. Believe me, I absolutely believe the Eagles are the best equipped team to take them down. We're very well rounded. We're good on the defensive side. Our offense is no slouch either. Saquon Barkley, Devontae Smith, Goddard's back, Calcaterra, AJ Brown. You know,
It's
Jalen's
Super
back.
Bowl or bust this year.
Solid
Man.
offensive line.
Yeah.
You gotta be real with yourself,
Bowl or
man.
bust,
It's
man.
Super Bowl or
Yep.
bust. The way that it ended with the Chiefs in 2022, it is for the Eagles. It is Super Bowl or bust, or else you want to know what's going to happen. Everybody's going to start asking questions about people's jobs. I guarantee if we don't get to that Super Bowl, and I'm saying at least get to it. You know how the city is. You know how these fans, and I'm not even questioning.
Yeah, It's crazy, man.
You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy though, man. Yo, can you imagine though? Like it goes to the very end and the Lions kick a field goal to go to the Super Bowl, man. That's crazy though, dude. It's like, you know, like if that happens and we lose like that, I'll be mad. But I'll be like, all right, respect. We didn't get blown out. Like, and at the end of the day, I will say this: our team is really equipped for the future, man. We locked up. Barkley's locked up for 3 years. Hurts is locked up. AJ and Smitty are locked up. Our defense is like arguably the youngest defense in the NFL if Brandon Graham retires. Like, I mean, we're locked up. We just got to lock Zach Bond up. But this team is locked up for the future, man. I'm going to be honest. You know, we're going to have a good roster for a while.
Are we locked up with coaches, though? Bro? We're not locked up.
That's true. I heard Kellen Moore, the Saints were looking at him.
Yeah, Fangio, we're locked up. I will say Fangio will probably retain. But Moore is arguably arguably, I'm not going to say he is, but arguably for Jalen Hurts, I think more is more super important for Jalen Hurts in particular.
Yeah.
That if more
Yeah.
leaves, I'm worried, man, about the flow of the offense. I'm worried about a lot, and even Zach said like, yo, this year Eagles have been starting slow. Eagles have been starting slow, but Kellen Moore knows how to. He has the unique play calling ability to overcome that. So even that slow start, I still think that slow start is still a part of 2023. Is those slow Eagles starts, and I think that Kellen Moore is the difference with that. Is he knows how to, you know what I mean? And it's just weird, man. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't
If
know,
there's
man.
any team they can't get away with those slow starts with, it's going to be Detroit. They can't get away with a slow start with Detroit. That's going to be the one game, the one opponent you'll face in the NFC. If they play Detroit, they can't get a slow start. They need to, because Detroit could probably run up a couple touchdowns. Our defense is good though. Our defense might hold them in, but it's essentially the top offense going against the top defense. So it'll be interesting. I'm just saying you can't start like you can't go into the into half with 10 or 7 or 10 points. You're gonna have to be better than that, I think.
Yeah, the Lions. Don't forget the Lions. Don't forget the Lions have an excellent offensive coordinator in Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, but defense does win games. So if it's best offense versus best defense, I mean, I'd err more on the defense. But I mean, we'll kind of see what happens with these first couple of rounds, because if the Eagles start looking super, super good, I might be like, yo, the Eagles might take it off, because the two best teams in the NFC are the Lions and the Eagles. I think those are the two teams that are most deserving, and I think that is a very possible, matchup versus, over on the AFC. I think the two teams that are the best and most deserving are the Ravens and the Bills, but that is not a possible matchup to see in the AFC Championship. That's a possible matchup to see in the divisional round. So, but I do think defense does win games, and the Eagles very much could go back to the Super Bowl.
Yep. Absolutely.
Sure. As long as we play our game, we gotta lean on Saquon Barkley. We gotta stick with our rushing game and play our game. If we get away from that, it's over. We gotta stay. And I would say lean on Barkley and utilize the play action against the Lions. That's the only way. And we gotta kickstart the pass rush against Jared Goff. That is probably, if we go away from our game, Jalen Hurts start throwing 40 balls a game, we're gonna struggle with the Lions.
Yeah,
man, you're absolutely right, man. If we start overcomplicating things, we get away from our style. I agree, it's a disaster, man. You can't do that. You ride with the way you've been playing all year. That's how you ride with it, and then that's how you've played all year. I think Dan Campbell last year, he switched up the defense for Dallas. I think they went from playing like zone coverage and they went into a man, or it might have been the opposite. Maybe it was man and they switched to zone. But whatever it was, he switched his scheme in the freaking playoffs, and you saw what happened. Like, I know the offense was horrible, but their defense got torched. Like, he switched his scheme. Like, you can't do that, man. You got to ride with the way you've been playing. And, you make adjustments as you go. Like, if it's not working, you can make adjustments, obviously, but you have to come out playing your style. And you got to ride with it. So you're absolutely right, man. I agree. We get to that 40 passing type of stuff and be a problem.
We'll see, man. We'll see, because man, damn, it's so hard, because sometimes Jalen Hurts will surprise the shit out of you. Sometimes, like sometimes he will throw 300 yards a game, and then sometimes this motherfucker cannot throw 100 yards a game. Like it's kind of crazy with him, man. It really is. Everything really is going to be about what type of Jalen Hurts shows up, man. Like, minimize mistakes, because at the start of the season it was fumbles and interceptions and shit. And then the reason that we ended the season with 14-3 is because he minimized all that. Ever since that bye week going on, he's minimized the turnovers. So the question is, with the type of Jalen Hurts we're getting back, is he going to be able to minimize the turnovers? That's a big question.
I don't think he's going to minimize turnovers at the start of the Green Bay game. I think he might turn the ball over a couple times. I think that's where you get your one Jalen Hurts game where he's not himself, but then with the rest of the playoffs, I think you get a strong Jalen.
I think he
in basically all aspects of the game. But if
Zach, I think you're my bad. You were like muted for like a little second there.
Oh, did I cut out? Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, just for like I said, just for a couple seconds.
Yeah, where did I cut out on?
Part was it at?
You said at the Green Bay game he might make be the person who's a little bit more making mistakes, but you said beyond that, and then that's where it cut off.
Okay, yeah. So beyond the Green Bay game, I think if everything plays out how I think it will be, Jalen Hurts will come back. He'll be kind of, a little bit of a turnover man, but he can afford that in the Green Bay game because Green Bay is not as equipped as the other teams are going forward. I think if he plays perfect football, or not perfect football, but like really good football going on beyond Green Bay, I think you guys have a really good shot at the Super Bowl. But Green Bay needs to be the game where he plays his worst and everyone else needs to be the best because you guys are the best matched up against Green Bay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, he is coming back from a concussion, so we'll see how he goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if there's any game to shake the rust off, this is the one. A lot of people were putting stock into a couple years ago, Jalen Hurts missed games towards the end of the season. They're like he came in and he smoked the Giants. I will say this: Jalen Hurts also played that final week of the season though too, because we needed to. Gardner Minshew went in; he lost to Dallas and the Saints. We needed to secure that number 1 seed. We had to have him come back and take Minshew out. So maybe he wasn't 100% ready, but he came back anyway. And that game was very close. Jalen Hurts was rusty in that game, but we did pull it out, and we were able to secure the number 1 seed. And then he had 2 weeks of rest, but he did have a game at the end of the season to shake the rust off. So this is a little bit of a different situation because he obviously has missed the last 2 weeks and then pretty much almost a full game against Washington. So he's almost had 3 or 4 weeks of rust. So I do expect to see some rust at the beginning, but if there's any game to shake it off, this is the game. And I think overall we're just better equipped than the Packers. So I think that we will. I think the defense will be able to keep us in. You know what I mean? Even if there is rust early. But like Rob said, we got to run Saquon. That's who we start with. We start with Saquon, and then the passing comes second. We're a run first team. We have to stick to our identity.
Yeah, I like that. 100%.
For sure.
Yep. Like Jalen said, keep the main thing the main thing.
Keep the main thing. Yep. And that's no knock on Jalen. It's just that the threat of the run is so significant for a dual threat quarterback. The threat of the run for a quarterback, because you're worried about the running back. So when you're stacking the boxes because of the running back, that you completely forget about the pass game. Or not completely, but these guys are one of these guys, whether it's Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, one of these guys is going to get caught one-on-one coverage, and that's when you have your big breakout plays. And so once you stack the box, Saquon Barkley, and even if you're looking for Saquon Barkley, Hurts could break off for a 20, 25-yard run here and there. Sometimes I've seen Hurts break out for 30, 35-yard runs off of them being worried about Saquon Barkley. So it's just and that's why I say, again, no knock on Detroit defense. That's why I say, and that's why you agree with me, Detroit and Philly, if it's any team that's going to take out Detroit, it's Philly, because they got so many pieces that are worried about AJ Brown and worried about the big stars that sometimes we forget about guys like Dallas Goedert. We forget about guys like Devontae Smith. And they will tear you up. Hurts will take those passes all day, and then it would be easy completions for him. So
yeah. I think you're right. The dual threat of Jalen Hurts is something that's like was one of those intangibles. That's the thing. Everybody was saying, "Oh, our defense gave up 36 to Washington," but people tend to forget that Jalen's very, very good at sustaining drives late in games and stuff, and it keeps our defense off the field. They're not as gassed, and I think our defense was very, very tired in that game. You know, we were going with some 3-and-outs and stuff with Pickett because he's not. I mean, it's not a knock on Pickett. He's just not a mobile quarterback. You don't offer I think that's one of the other things about Saquon here. Yeah, our offensive line is amazing. We have a top tier offensive line, but also you mix him in with also the potential dual threat of Jalen Hurts running too. It allows teams to not be you're not as predictable with Barkley because of that. A lot of the play action type stuff. This is an amazing situation for Saquon to be in. He's very talented. He's just an amazing running back, but also, you know, it fits perfect. I am excited to get the dual threat of Jalen Hurts being able to run the football coming back. I just say be very, very safe and cautious. Obviously, we saw what happened. Washington took a hit to the ground. He needs to be a little careful. I'll say that, slide down feet first. None of that diving head first type shit. Like slide down feet first. Be smart,
Yeah, I don't know
we
why
can't afford him to have another concussion, man.
He knows how to slide. I don't know why he does that.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna lie, you might be able to, if he goes out, be Green Bay with a backup. But there's the further you go, you're not gonna win without Jalen. You're just not. It's just that's not disrespect to Green Bay. I just think we're that well equipped. But the further you get, you're not beating a Detroit, or you're probably not even beating a Tampa Bay or who are the Vikings without Jalen Hurts. So, yeah, he needs to be smart, and I'm sure he knows that, and I know that the coaching staff is going to tell him that. So. Yeah, I'm excited. I always think this is like one of the best weekends because there's so many games going on. It's one of the most exciting going into it. And then next week we'll see what happens for the divisional round. But yeah, I'm excited to see these matchups. Saturday, I'm not as excited for those games, but the Sunday slate I'm really excited to see, and that Monday night game. But yeah, I guess we can get ready to wrap up, guys. I'm excited. I'm really, really happy that you guys were all able to make it on. Thank you guys for joining the stream. Some good insight across the board here. And go Birds, go Broncos. And
Broncos. Man, I'll tell you what, man, y'all shocked the Bills, bro. Holy fuck, man. Talk about a crazy ass upset, man. I don't know what the betting line is, man, but if the Broncos upset the Bills, holy fucking shit, man. That's going to blow up the AFC wide open.
Hey, yo, Zach. Let's
What's
ride.
Up? Yeah, let's ride. Hey, I mean, Mario, like I said when we were talking about the Broncos last year beat the Bills, and that was the Russell Wilson Broncos. That wasn't the, Bo Nix Broncos. So we'll see how Bo Nix does, because it is his first playoff appearance as well. So we'll see. But as long as we can, hold some contained to Josh Allen, and we can put him in the pocket and keep him under duress, I'm liking our odds.
Yeah. Honestly, that's a huge win. It's a win that you guys made the playoffs, but that's a huge win no matter what happens the rest of the way. If you beat the Bills, upset them.
It's win-win, because it's been, 9 years since we've been in the playoffs. So, at this point, it's like we got our slice of cake. Do we want a cherry on top, or do we want whipped cream? That sort of thing, right? It's just extra.
Yeah, exactly. It's all extra at this point. Not gonna lie, it could be an interesting matchup though. If you guys beat the Bills, you guys got to play KC. We'll see.
Oh man, tough one.
Yeah, it'd be a tough one, but. All right, guys. Well, again, thank you guys for joining. I think it's going to be some good football this weekend. Excited to see what happens, but we'll all talk about it after and stuff. But yeah, I'm excited to see what we'll be sitting next week for the divisional round. Penn State Still up 10-0. It's like 18 seconds till half. Actually, Notre Dame's at Penn State's 19, so we'll see what happens. 16 seconds left, but till halftime.
Yo, Rob, I hope y'all lose, dog.
Chill. We are.
Marius, the Penn State fan too. Marius, a Penn State fan too. So
Rich, I know where you live, bro.
I hope you cry yourself to sleep at night.
Yeah, don't make Rob, we're gonna have to pay a special visit to Rich tonight, dog.
Right.
Yeah,
I wonder where Rich's college. I wonder who Rich's college is playing.
All state.
No playoffs,
Nobody.
eliminated.
Shit, my college didn't even have a football team.
Yeah.
Yo, but you know what we did have though? We had intramural football, which is just as good.
What the
The
fuck
beer
is
league.
that?
that's a consolation. I went to
Irish.
Temple, so we have
Go
football,
Irish.
our football team.
Go Irish.
Go Irish.
Yeah.
All right, interesting. Honestly, Northeast Philly, like where we all kind of live. Rich is over in Jersey now, but like right in Northeast Philly, it's kind of split between a lot of Penn State fans and a lot of Notre Dame fans. So it's very, very split in this section. Like, you know, because there's a lot of fans of both. But looking good for Penn State so far. They're up 10-0 with 2 seconds going into the half. So
Well, Notre Dame's about to kick a field goal.
yeah. So all right, guys.
We'll see, guys.
We'll wrap it up here. You know, everybody have a great weekend. Like I said, you know, we'll talk more after this weekend. We'll see where everybody sits, but go Eagles, and I'm rooting for your team, man. Go Broncos, man.
Thank you. Yeah. Go Eagles.
Go
Go
Broncos.
Broncos. Heck
Let's
yeah.
go,
Go
man.
Birds. Let's go.
Let's go
Let's
Birds.
go.
We got this, man.
Take
Let's
care
go.
of business.
Our year.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Let's go,
All
man.
right, fellas.
Have a great
All right,
weekend,
guys.
guys.
Have a great weekend. Great night,
Peace.
guys. Talk to you soon. Peace.
Peace.
All right, guys. Have a good night, man.
Take care.